and W247BQ Bowling Green, ESPN Radio 102.7.
It's time for Wes Strader's Sportsline on ESPN Radio 102.7. Sportsline is a locally produced sports talk show that focuses on high school and WKU as well as regional athletes who play at the next level. Sportsline was originated by Hall of Fame sportscaster Wes Strader. Now with a new version of Sportsline, here's Garret Browning on ESPN Radio 102.7.
Paul Feinbaum thinks he can overtake me? Does he know who I am, Casey?
I don't think he does, man.
Garret
Browning?
None of the listeners know who I am, so I'll go ahead and throw that out there for him. I'm Garret Browning, and today Paul Feinbaum cannot kick me off the airways. Neither can WKU baseball, the Cincinnati Reds, Warren East softball. Hey, I love doing them all. Don't get me wrong. And I know Casey does too. He's got to sit here and board op all those for the most part. But I also like giving my hot breath opinions all over the ESPN airwaves. Mondays 5 to 6, it's the Wes Strader Sportsline, keeping it going for our buddy Wes Strader, who asked me to keep his show alive. And, man, it's been an honor to do it this entire year. And now bringing in a new co-host. We've had a open door of co-hosts throughout the year. Tyler's come and help out a little bit. Earlier on, we had Jim Richards, Gary P. West, a couple of legends in studio. We'll get them back this summer. And now I'm to the bottom of my list with Casey Warner.
All right. Sweet. Pleasure to be here, man. Pleasure to be here. Good to be on.
No, I love it, Casey. I'm glad you're here with us. And we got a lot to talk about, man. Looking forward to having our guy Matt Neely on. If you don't know who Matt Neely is, you're going to learn. You're going to learn today. He is a Titans meme legend, as I'll put it. A meme legend. And if you're too old and don't know what a meme is, just Google it once you got your car parked or whatever is going on. He is the host of the Tennessee Titans Run Pass Opinion podcast. Without a doubt, the #1 Titans fan podcast in the world. So we'll have him on later to give his honest opinions on the draft from Nashville and what he thought the Titans did, because this is our first show post the NFL draft. So did you get to make it down to Nashville at all that weekend?
I didn't. Remember, I was doing your all's draft show, the show we're doing at B-Dubs, and I was in here keeping up with it, watching Josh Allen fall to number 7. I was kind of upset about that, but I saw a bunch of pictures, saw the news and everything. Great turnout. Would have loved to have been down there. Had a couple friends that wanted me to go, but just couldn't make it down there. Too busy that week, unfortunately.
Matt, luckily, was in Nashville, so he'll give us the full breakdown on what he thought of the just draft experience and what the Tennessee Titans did. Reminder, after our show tonight at 6 o'clock, we'll join the NBA playoffs in progress. Man, I'm taking over Giannis Antetokounmpo's time. I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Right, yeah, that's big.
The Bucks and the Celtics, they play at 6 o'clock. The Bucks are up 2-1 and are 2-0 since Paul Pierce said that series was over after one game. So
Paul Pierce, let there be the word. Paul Pierce laying it down.
Golden State is at the Houston Rockets. Warriors are 2-1 in that series, 8:30 tip-off. Before we get to our first break, I want to shout out two hot hardball teams for the Hilltoppers because of their play lately. WKU baseball, big weekend sweep over Rice. They moved to 14-9-1 in Conference USA. And next up, they got to take on Louisiana Tech in Ruston, Louisiana, who Louisiana Tech was actually getting some votes for the top 25 just a couple of weeks ago. So that's a big series for them. And WKU softball, 37-12 overall. Next up, they're in the Conference USA tournament as a 3 seed. They play the winner of MTSU and UTEP. We got two teams that can make some damage in these conference tournaments. That's for sure.
12, that's impressive. That's got to be up there with one of the best records overall, I'd say, in history, right?
Yeah, you know what? They had one really good year. I think it was 2012 with Miranda Kramer and company where they made a run. I think they were playing Georgia in one of the regionals. Can't remember if it was a super regional or not, but they had an ace pitcher, Miranda Kramer. And this year, they got three. I don't want to say all three of them are ace pitchers, but if you combine all three of them together, it's an ace pitch. It's an ace pitching staff. They got a freshman, Kennedy Sullivan, who was throwing no hitters earlier this season.
How about that?
Kelsey Ike, she I believe was a freshman of the year 2 years ago, And just this past weekend got her career high, 13 strikeouts. And Shelby Nunn, the South Warren product, she's undefeated.
Well, how about that?
She's like the third option.
Man,
that's not bad for your third option pitcher.
No, heck no. You can't beat that. Hey, that's the name of the game right there. Good pitching will get it done in either sport, softball or baseball.
Reminder also, we will have Warren East softball this coming Thursday versus Allen County, Scottsville. ACS, always one of the better teams in the 4th region softball-wise, one of the more dangerous teams. But taking on the undefeated Warren East Raiders.
I don't know if anybody's going to beat those Raiders. I mean, they're pretty impressive. Wouldn't you say so, Garrett?
Yeah, well, you get to sit here in studio and listen to me blush about them on air for most of the season. We've carried a flex number of games, and man, we're always out of there early for the most part.
That's partial games, if you want to say.
Yeah,
three innings, 5 innings, usually is the case.
Whatever it may be. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Matt Neely, the host of RPO, the Tennessee Titans podcast, will be on, and just a social media legend. It'll be an honor here on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio1027.com.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. Everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Offices, Bowling Green.
20 ribeyes for $30. 20 ribeyes for $30. Just look for the Big Ten in the parking lot of Southern Lanes off Scottsville Road in Bowling Green. 20 ribeyes. That's right, 20 ribeyes for only $30. Plus on the Big Truck New York strip, fillets, T-bones, also marinated chicken breast. Everything will be sold today, and you'll not pay Omaha steak prices. Now with Star South Meats, just look for the Big Truck in the Big Top Tent. Last chance, 20 ribeyes. 20 ribeyes. 20 ribeye steaks, $30. Almost $1 each. 20 ribeyes for $30. Just look for the Big Ten in the parking lot of Southern Lanes off Scottsville Road in Bowling Green. The Star South Meats driver has been authorized to do deals to move everything that's left. You're not going to beat the taste of Midwestern beef, and you're not going to pay Omaha steak prices. 20 ribeyes. 20 ribeye steaks, $30. Vacuum sealed and individually wrapped. Star South Meats. Last chance ever, 20 ribeyes. Look for the Big Truck and the Big Top Tent in the parking lot of Southern Lanes, across the street from Greenwood Mall and right behind Crystal Restaurant off Scottsville Road in Bowling Green.
EBT and credit cards accepted.
This is Nate from Rock Castle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rock Castle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rock Castle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
What you know about that Luther Vandross?
Down, man.
You know it?
Down, Garrett. Yeah, I think I've heard it before. It sounds familiar.
Sports Center update. NBA playoffs will join them in progress tonight after the show. WKU softball next up in the conference tournament versus the winner of MTSU UTEP. WKU baseball next up against Louisiana Tech this weekend on the road. Friday first pitch will be at 6 o'clock, 5:45 pregame with our guy Randy Lee. And now a special guest. I'm going to go ahead and say it's the most special guest we've had. I don't know if that's correct English there, Casey. But since we've started the Sportsline back in the year 2019, welcome in Titans meme legend, Matt Neely. If you're a Twitter user, at Matt Neely _. Thanks for taking time to join us, buddy.
Yeah, I cannot believe that ESPN would let me on two of their different stations. And this one I've been waiting for, because me and you, I mean, we're buddies.
Hey, I appreciate that, and I will preface the interview by saying that we're podcasted, but we're also on live radio, so we got to keep it PG for the most part, because I am not good with the dump button. I'm very slow reaction, so I'm going to get a call from the FCC if you drop something.
I'll help you out. I got you guys.
Again, this is at Matt Neely. Put an underscore on the end of that, Neely, and you can follow him on Twitter. The host of the RPO Tennessee Titans podcast, the #1 Titans fan podcast in the country, the NFL draft was in Nashville just a couple of weeks ago. This is our first show post the NFL draft, thanks to some conflictions in our schedule. But, Matt, what was the atmosphere like down there, and just the draft in general, the NFL fan base flocking to Nashville, Tennessee?
I mean, I've lived in Nashville most of my life. I grew up here. This was possibly the greatest thing I've ever got to experience. I know I'm a football nerd. I've been to music festivals. I've been to a lot of places, but this was magical. I mean, it was the way Nashville used the city to kind of showcase itself, and they didn't, I know they had to take some cherry blossoms out, and that was a hot debate, but people kind of forgot about that the moment they saw a gigantic stage at the end of Broadway. I mean, it could not have been run better. Everyone that I know that has kids brought their kids, and they got to meet famous athletes, and I got to meet Todd McShay, which is like kind of the same thing. And I mean, it was so incredible to me. It just reminded me of like an NFL fan, Disneyland or Bonnaroo, Coachella. It was. I mean, I'm really kind of sad it's over.
Yeah,
I feel a little bit empty.
I honestly do. I was about to ask who was the biggest name drop you were going to give us that you met at the NFL draft, but I think you already gave it to us. I mean, Todd McShay, that's got to be up there.
Yeah, he didn't want to talk to me. That's pretty understandable if you've ever seen my face. But got that photo. I think for me, the best person or the biggest name I saw was Zach Tiller, the original number 69 for the Titans.
Oh man,
big fan of his back in the day, and he was a cool guy. Hung out and talked to me. So big Zach Tiller guy. But yeah, Todd McShay. I really loved just to get on his nerves for a few minutes.
So I got a question for you, Mr. Neely. What did you think about the Titans' first round pick? Just give us your thoughts on that.
With Simmons, I think that what they're doing is building for the long term. I mean, this guy would have been a top 10 pick for sure if it wasn't for his injury and his incident. And I really think the way ESPN, when he got drafted, them showing the video of that incident, I thought that was a kind of a low blow on him after all he's tried to overcome and what he's done for the community in Starkville. I know he was apologetic and what he did was wrong, but he's shown every sign that he's changed for the better. And if you look at that incident, there's a lot of questions, regarding what exactly happened right before it, and the things that were said were pretty harsh. That's not going to make it any better. But on the field, he's a beast, and since that incident, he's done everything he could to make it better. And I think that with the Amy Adams Strunk as the only female owner in the NFL, her vote of confidence for him should be a vote of confidence for everyone else, because she's the only owner that can have that type of power. And I think that they've got a young man that is the type of guy they want to bring in. And I think that he's already shown he can deal with adversity. And I think that was the best fit for the team and the best available.
I want to keep hitting on the draft class, but to backtrack just a little bit, it's been an interesting offseason for Titans fans. Growing up, I grew up in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and there always seemed to be like stereotypes with Titans and Titans fans that they're not the most supportive group per se. I mean, you see Nissan Stadium, sometimes they struggle to sell out. Most of the time, that's when they're not winning, just like any other franchise. But this offseason, there was the big Twitter poll thing, best NFL fan base, Titans get a low seed, then the NFL draft comes to Nashville. It's just I think you said it on your podcast, got it from somewhere else, but I'm stealing it from you, the Woodstock for divorced dads. I mean, it just seems like the Titans, Tennessee, Nashville, they're starting to kind of break those stereotypes that, Tennessee's maybe one of the smaller franchises in the NFL.
I mean, Nashville as a city is awesome. There's no debate. Like, I'm tired of going on Broadway. I was rejuvenated that weekend, and my body, I ended up in the hospital for different reasons, for a stomach virus, but I think that might be a sign from God to stay off of Broadway. But Nashville is awesome. But honestly, they've got to start winning football games for the team, for the fans to keep supporting, because the fans that have stayed around are very small in number. And it shows. When they were getting their butt kicked by the Ravens, there wasn't hardly anybody in the stands. And it for me, it made me upset just to see a big game and people not showing up because it was raining. But I can't blame anyone for leaving at halftime. And so I think the only cure to this, I mean, the Preds don't have a problem with attendance now that they're winning. They used to. They almost got sold, I'm pretty sure. The Titans have got to start winning football games, and I think they're doing a great job marketing the team to individuals and making them feel emotional about the team. They've got to start winning football games, so they're never going to be the same crowd that sold out and had Adelphia Coliseum, one of the most feared places to play in the NFL back in the day.
See, I'm glad you brought up that Ravens game because that's personal hurt for me deep down inside. Me and my dad, we go to one game every year for my birthday. And, of course, it was that Ravens game when we were shut out 21-0. And I think somebody got mad at me for booing. I was like, dude, we're getting shut out to the Ravens. You got to boo with me. What are you talking about?
Gotta boo.
Well, again, if you're just joining us, Matt Neely, the host of RPO Tennessee Titans podcast, the #1 Titans fan podcast. I love listening to it. I mean, I love listening to Mike Keith and their stuff they do on Facebook as well. But, you know, he works for the Titans. He's got to be pretty nice and honest, or, well, maybe not honest, but most of the time just nice. You guys hit the honest parts of the Tennessee Titans. That's why I love listening, and a bunch of the listeners out there as well currently on our ESPN airwaves, I'm sure, are already subscribed to the podcast. But give out the podcast info and where they can subscribe.
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, got to give a shout out to the people that started it, which is Dan and Mike, and then my co-host, August West, Benjamin Scott now, and Brandon Drunkish Drew. These guys started it a while ago, and then I just met up with them, and we just started making a show for fans. I'm not really here to do the pub, but it is Run Past Opinion podcast. I mean, if you search Tennessee Titans, we're up there right next to the big boys, to Mike Keith. But I'm just glad that there's a lot more Titans content out there. I think that was our initial mission in the first place. Like, it was a pretty dull spot for Titans fans. I mean, like, it really was boring to be on the internet. Now I think it's actually pretty fun. So hopefully we're helping. I'm
glad you bring that up because, I mean, I can remember a couple years ago, I've just gotten into the Reddit use and the subreddits, and you could go on the Titans subreddit and, like, I mean, it was bland a couple years. There's nothing. There's one guy shouting his opinion, waiting for somebody to give an upvote. Now, you know, you guys have helped create kind of a media revolution. I see tons of, you know, Titans memers out there now, and it just seemed like that wasn't there a couple of years ago by any means.
Well, honestly, like, touching on what you were saying earlier, I feel like Nashville is a sleeping giant of an NFL fan base. I mean, you saw what happened with the Predators when they were in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, yeah.
It was thousands of people outside the stadium, the whole city. That's all you could talk about. And imagine if the NFL franchise could get to that level. I mean, this is a sleeping giant, and I think that there are a lot more Titans fans that talk about it on the internet. So maybe if we can build this little community with something massive, we can do things like mysteriously win Twitter polls against the Bills with 16 seconds left. I mean, that's just how it happens.
Hey, I am not pleading guilty to anything. I'm just pleading the fifth. Out of this Titans draft class, we already talked about Jeffrey Simmons. Was there another guy on this list that you really liked, or you thought the Titans got really good value out of them? I felt like all the picks were good value picks for where they got him in the draft.
I do too. I think that a video surfaced today of the war room after they drafted A.J. Brown, and you heard John Robinson say, you know, patience to Amy Adams-Strunk when they drafted A.J. Brown. So that kind of makes me believe that maybe they were looking at him early, but decided just to be patient, wait it out, and see what they had. So they probably had a few guys there. So that guy is really impressive. You know how big DK Metcalf is, and maybe a lot of people don't like his Route 3 or whatever word they want to use, and the guy's a freak. But A.J. Brown is huge. He is massive. I'm really impressed by him. Amani Hooker from Iowa. I mean, the guy is insane when it comes to just being a smart football player. To me, he reminds me a lot of Logan Ryan, and I hope that we can get the most out of Logan Ryan, which we've already gotten. I'll say the Titans have gotten the most out of Logan Ryan's contract. The man is amazing. He's a great person. He fits right in. He's going to be here till he retires, I hope. But Amani Hooker's the guy that's going to take his spot. And I don't know if we should root for it to be sooner rather than later, but this kid's going to be good. And then, obviously, David Long from West Virginia. I'm a West Virginia fan. So my only concern with him was he would just run through the hole and just kind of whiff sometimes. So he's probably going to be a special teams player. And then DeAndre Walker. I mean, if you go look up his play against North Carolina, He took 2 blockers out on special teams and tackled the guy with the football inside the 15-yard line in a pretty big game. So I think Walker's going to be the standout of the last 3, but I think Hooker's going to be the more long-term guy, and I think he's going to stick for a while.
Hey, Matt.
Nate Davis I know nothing about. He's a guard from Charlotte, and I'm not going to fake it out here.
Hey, Matt. Yeah, I apologize for interrupting you. This is Casey. I had a couple questions I wanted to ask you. First, I just wanted to build off what you said about Hollywood Brown. I think that's a great value pick, something the Titans needed. Another receiver opposite Taywan Taylor, another weapon for the offense. But overall, what are your thoughts on the current quarterback situation? I know that's something that's kind of been a struggle for the Titans here recently, and I think that's something they've kind of improved in the offseason, getting, Ryan Tannehill in there as the backup. But what are your thoughts on overall who's going to be the guy this year, and who do you think is really going to take that over ultimately?
Marcus Mariota is going to take it over. And if he doesn't, you talked about it being hard to kind of figure out what's going on. It's been hard as a Mariota fan to kind of at times it is hard to defend him, but I honestly believe he's one of the most confusing quarterbacks to ever be judged in the NFL, just strictly because he's had so many different coordinators. You can make a million excuses for the guy, right?
Sure.
But he shows these signs of brilliance, and it may not be a perfect pass, but it's something crazy, right? And there's something about the kid that everybody likes, and I think we're all rooting for him. But when you look at his history, getting a guy like Tannehill is a must. Getting someone that can be there that's better than Blaine Gabbert, is better than Matt Castle. The Titans have been woeful at the backup quarterback position, and it's cost them games several times. They had to have Derrick Henry run. Derrick Henry might have been the best quarterback on the roster for a few weeks last year.
Yeah.
And without Vrabel's, creativeness, that's not going to happen. So I think Tannehill is a must. And if Tannehill's a better quarterback, Titans fans, I promise you, want to win football games. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Mariota's got people surrounded around him that are going to help him go to the next level. And if he can't, then that's why he's on his 5th-year extension and not under a new contract already. So it's really, they put him in a good spot, but he's got to do it this year. If not, it's over, I think.
Matt Neely, again, host RPO Titans podcast. Before we get you out of here, Matt, I got to give you one final question. Kevin Byard, he's up for a contract extension this year. I'm not going to ask you if he deserves it, because that's a stupid question. I'm going to ask you if he's going to become the highest paid safety in the NFL. And I'm just going to go ahead and let you know, as a WKU guy, I am fully in support of Kevin Byard, MTSU Blue Raider, even though that's tough for me to say.
I mean, I thought I told you not to disclose this information. But yes, I am from Murfreesboro. I'm an MTSU fan, and I love Kevin Byard. I watched him in college against Old Dominion, and we both don't really give a crap about he's a monster, and he deserves a new contract. And I think he's going to be the highest paid safety in the league, and I think he deserves it, man. And he's a great person off the field. He's expecting a daughter, so I'm pretty excited to see what Kevin Byard is going to make, and if he's going to bring it back to Murfreesboro.
Good. You're totally right, Matt. I do not give a about Old Dominion at all, so don't worry about it.
My bad.
No, you're good, man. At Matt Neely, Neely _ at the end of it, the host of RPO Titans podcast, the #1 Titans fan podcast. Dude, thanks for coming on and giving us the lowdown, and I'll cover the fine for you. Don't worry.
Okay, I literally love you guys. I'll talk to you about the fine.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, dude.
Oh, that was great, dude. He is a piece of work, but a great one. If you are on the Twitter sphere and you need a laugh and you are a Titans fan, you have to follow this guy at Matt Neely. Just hilarious stuff there, and he's also very honest. I think this Titans draft class is one that it's just so weird, because growing up, every draft class I was like, there was always all these question marks. Now the last 3 years, every year I walk away like, that makes sense, what we're doing. It's just amazing. John Robinson finally at least has them going in the correct direction.
I think so. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think this Titans team right now, they're kind of in the spot where my Rams were a couple years ago. You know, they're kind of middling around 500 each year. And I think if they can just get over that hump and they can get an explosive offense going, I think that's really where you're going to see the Titans come in and be a contender every year. So I think if they can just get that offense consistent, Mariota upright, get him some weapons, I think they'll be all right this year.
And I really think that's what they're trying to do the last couple. Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. Look, those are two guys that if one of them hits, one of them hits to be a just not even an all-pro caliber, but kind of on that level of a
1,000-yard guy,
a definite number one receiver for the Titans. You've got some consistency from your tight end spot, really, no matter who you plug in there. Delaney goes down. Jonnu Smith has a big couple of weeks. Of course, he gets hurt. And then your third string comes in and is playing well, Luke Stocker. So I'm really not worried about the tight end spot. Got some depth on the offensive line.
Yep.
Obviously, Derrick Henry's going to Derrick Henry. It's just that consistency, man.
Right,
and the big question, Mariota.
Of course. I mean, the offense is always tough to come by when you're a defensive squad, with somebody like Vrabel at the helm. But I think if they can just get consistency, put up 20 points a game, 24 points a game, I think that defense can do the rest for them.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll look at what the hell happened at the Kentucky Derby, man. What is going on?
Yeah, that's confusing right there. That's a touchy subject for us.
I don't know that steward's name that made the decision, but she needs to be put into what's that FBI thing where, the mob's coming after you and you got witness protection.
Witness protection plan. There
you go. She needs to go into witness protection plan real quick.
Surely she's
there is a Facebook mob forming. We'll talk about it next here on Sportsline.
Being in the Army National Guard is about more than serving your country. It's about being there for your community when your neighbors need you most. The Army National Guard makes college affordable, and serving part-time can help you graduate debt-free. Do you want to stay close to friends and family? The Guard allows you to serve close to home. Serving part-time in the Army National Guard lets you have the life you want. Learn more by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Kentucky Army National Guard. Aired by the Kentucky Broadcasters Association and this station.
Clean your classic car or truck, then join Brewster's Cruisin' for a Cure. This Tuesday, Cruisin' will take place at Brewster's, 5 to 8 p.m., 2712 Scottsville Road. Brewster's Cruisin' for a Cure. Help out the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation and Alzheimer's Foundation, along with benefiting Hospice of Southern Kentucky. Brewster's Cruisin' for a Cure. Tuesday night at Brewster's, 5 to 8 on Scottsville Road. Bring out your classic car or truck and help out this great cause with J.C. Kirby and Son.
A Wendy's Frosty is something special, and for a limited time, a Frosty is just 50 cents. An American classic for a classic price. It's not quite a milkshake, not quite an ice cream cone. It's definitely chocolate or vanilla. That choice is on you. Use a spoon or a French fry. Anything goes. A Frosty makes summer special. Yep, there's nothing quite like a Frosty. And at Wendy's, we got you with a Frosty for 50 cents. Get yours before this deal melts away.
Small Frosty only at participating Wendy's for a limited time. Price and participation may vary in Alaska and Hawaii.
Join the Bowling Green Hot Rods every Friday for Fireworks Friday, sponsored by Norton Children's Hospital. Following every Friday night game, the Hot Rods will light up the sky with a fireworks display. Visit bghotrods.com for more information. Hot Rods Baseball. Fantastic. Your Midwest League champion, Bowling Green Hot Rods, are back for 2019. Come check out the all-new 360 concourse, splash zone, scoreboard, and much more. Get your tickets at bghotrods.com or by calling 901-2121. Hot Rods Baseball, fantastic.
Welcome back to the Sports Line here on ESPN 1027 FM, ESPN Radio 1027.com. I forgot to mention it with Matt, but the Titans Caravan is coming back to Bowling Green the coming weeks. It'll be Tuesday, May 14th. That's just, is that 8 days away? Oh my gosh, that is next Tuesday. Man, I'm losing track of days, man. 6:35 next Tuesday, BG Ballpark out in kind of the square area there out in front of Mariah's, I believe, maybe at 643. The Titans players, I know this for sure. Malcolm Butler, Jonnu Smith, D. Liner, Rashawn Evans, and Sharif Finch. And yes, his name is D. Liner, D-E-E, Liner, L-I-N-E-R. And I'm pretty sure he does play on the defensive line. So
I'd say so. Yeah, just a guess. I'd go with he's the defensive guy.
I have zero idea if he plays on the defensive line, but he has to, right?
I mean,
he has
I'd say
to.
He's a lineman of some sort. I would just have to guess.
At the very least, D-liner. Sports Center update. We're joining the Bucks and the Celtics tonight out of our Sportsline show, and the Warriors and Rockets will follow at 8:30. And finally, Game of Thrones, whose budget per episode is $15 million, the HBO series left a Starbucks cup in plain sight of their episode this past Sunday. Earlier this season, viewers complained of darkness during the important Battle of Winterfell. Are you a Game of Thrones guy?
I'll tell you what, man, never seen it. I'll take that back. I just recently, a couple weeks ago, saw my first episode of Game of Thrones, and I'm not a huge TV guy. I usually stay too busy to watch TV. If I'm going to watch TV, it's going to be a game, or I'm just going to throw on ESPN or something. So it was a whole nother world for me. Thought it was interesting. You know, I really owe it to all the fans that are diehards. I think that's great that they have passion about it. But me personally, I'm not a huge Game of Thrones guy. Can't get into it. Can't really get into TV much as it is. But it's a pretty cult following as far as I know.
Well, listen, I'm going to try and make as many of the listeners mad as possible today when I say that Game of Thrones, supremely overrated. And that is a perfect segue to my next topic, which is also supremely overrated, the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, no, you did not go there.
I'm telling you, it is, the best, the fastest 2 minutes in sports.
Most exciting, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. The most exciting 2 minutes in sports, but we got to wait 20 minutes to see who actually won. I'm not saying I disagree or agree with the decision. I just think it's funny there's so much hoopla over us, trying to figure out who won a horse race, and it turns into Facebook war number 3.0.
Yeah, I mean,
actually 3.0,
sure,
like 270.
Of course, yeah. There's always a war about something, but I'll say, man, rules are rules, and watching the video, watching the review, I think they made a good call. I think it was the right call. The horse came in from the rail out to the middle of the field, blocking about 3 or 4 horses, and as sloppy as that track was, with 20 horses on the field, something really could have went wrong there, man. I mean, some horses could have got hurt, some jockeys could have got hurt. It could have been a big ordeal. So I think, they followed the rules. They did what they were supposed to, so they had no other choice, man, in a race like that.
The most surprising thing to me was to learn that it had rules. Like, I mean,
right.
I knew, I thought the only rule was you had to stay on your horse when you crossed the finish line. Like, that was it. I didn't know there was more rules. But, watching the video, you can kind of see where those horses' legs, man, they be getting tangled in there.
Wild,
if you're not,
man. I mean, there's been some horses that have died on the track.
Well, that was one of the
years.
The conspiracy theory I saw out there. Of course, I saw plenty. But one of them was that the steward at Churchill Downs made the decision because actually at Keeneland in like the last year, they've had like, I don't remember if it was double-digit horse deaths, but it was like a new record for them this past year with how many horses they had to put down at Keeneland. And that was the conspiracy theory that, PETA is on the back of Keeneland's.
Oh, no.
So they didn't need PETA on the back of Churchill Downs.
Jeez,
I'm not saying I support PETA either. I've just
No, it's always a touchy argument when you get PETA involved, man. I don't know about all that.
Especially in South Central Kentucky. I can't imagine there are a ton of PETA card-carrying members.
I wouldn't think so, man. But no, it was really interesting to see. I didn't even know that there was a conflict about the race. I drew some horses out of a hat at a party, and I don't even think those horses have still crossed, man. That's how bad my horses were. So I was done with the race after it happened. Didn't care what happened until everybody starts telling me about, there's a disqualification. There's this happened, that happened. And I've just been amazed to see how many people have taken sides. One on the far end, the other on the other far end. So, of course, there's always going to be a big ordeal, big argument.
Before I get to the betting aspect, I got to get on this horse's name. The horse that got DQ'd, Maximum Security, he was the favorite entering the race. The horse that won, thanks to the disqualification, was Country House.
Country
House. And I think I've said Country Horse at least 4,000 times since he's won.
At first, I was going to say some name that is Country. Just put it in front of the horse. I mean, that's a simple name.
It threw me off so much.
Even Country House is kind of a lame name.
Yeah,
man.
dude. There was some great names in there, but that was probably the weakest of them all.
Yeah, I mean, just Country house. I mean, yeah, I guess it sounds kind of peaceful and southern, but nah, I wouldn't name a horse that if I'm going to be in the Derby.
What's your horse name? Now that we're on it, I put you on the spot here.
Man,
see,
that's tough right there.
I'm thinking either Shadow, kind of like Sonic's alter ego. Okay. Shadow.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to have like a black horse if you're going to go Shadow. You can't have like a chestnut-colored horse. So.
Yeah.
Give me some more time on Chestnut.
Right,
I need some more time on that one. But if I have a black racing horse, Shadow.
Yeah, I mean,
call in with your best horse racing name, 270-782-1945.
Shoot, I mean, if I had to go, thinking about it now, if I had to go for a horse name that was a racehorse, I think I'd just go with classic tune by the Rolling Stones, Jumpin' Jack Flash. I think that would be a cool horse name,
I feel like I've heard of like a Jumping Jack horse before,
like that, maybe, but
I do like that. That's pretty good.
Right.
I would a rapper name maybe like the Migo.
Right, yeah,
just the Migo.
That's not too bad.
We'll figure it out. 270-782-1945 for your best horse name. Wait a minute. I think I've got a. Oh no, never mind. I thought Chris Bratcher had texted in a horse name for me, and instead he was just telling me that I messed up, which we already knew that was true.
Right.
We're going to take another break before I mess up some more. When we come back, we'll have NBA playoff talk, 2 games tonight, and some important games from this past weekend. Also, we'll just talk about the rest of the NFL draft, aside from the Tennessee Titans, coming up next here on ESPN.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Kentucky Army National Guard. Aired by the Kentucky Broadcasters Association and this station.
Taste, see, hear, and support arts and education in your community. SkyPack's Party for the Arts, May 16th at 5:30 p.m. Presented by Dillard's. Experience a night of creativity in a casual environment, featuring local food and beverages, a jazz quartet, sip and paint, and dueling pianos. Plus, be the first to know all of the great shows coming to SkyPack with our 2019-2020 season announcement. SkyPack's Party for the Arts. Get your tickets today at theskypack.com/party.
There are songs that some people call classic rock that don't really rock. 105.3 The Point doesn't play those. Classic rock that really rocks sounds like this. When you want classic rock that really rocks, get The Point. 105.3 The Point.
A Wendy's Frosty is something special, and for a limited time, a Frosty is just 50 cents. An American classic for a classic price. It's not quite a milkshake, not quite an ice cream cone. It's definitely chocolate or vanilla. That choice is on you. Use a spoon or a French fry. Anything goes. A Frosty makes summer special. Yep, there's nothing quite like a Frosty. And at Wendy's, we got you with a Frosty for 50 cents. Get yours before this deal melts away.
Small Frosty only at participating Wendy's for a limited time. Price and participation may vary in Alaska and Hawaii.
Garret Browning back here on the Sportsline, ESPN 102.7 FM, ESPN Radio 102.7.com. And Casey, since you were so slow to it, we've got our caller, Eric, is on the line. Eric, what is the best horse name you got?
The best horse name I got is Stay in Your Lane.
Oh, wow.
Stay in your lane? Is that what it was?
Stay in your lane.
Oh, man. Yeah, he
went right
easily
at us
beat
there.
us. Yeah, that's great. I think, can they change Maximum Security's name? Is that legal? Are you allowed to do
They
that?
might have to now.
Eric, man, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. If anybody else has got a better horse name than Stay in Your Lane, call in 270-782-1945. Eric's got him beat, though. I mean, that's pretty good,
man. That's he went straight to the point with that one.
Got to get to our Sports Center update. Mention the NBA playoffs, Bucks and Celtics, Warriors, Rockets, WKU baseball after a weekend series sweep over the Rice Owls, 23-22-1, 14-9-1 in CUSA. And next up against one of the best teams in conference, Louisiana Tech in Ruston, 6 p.m. Friday, 5:45 pregame with our guy Randy Lee. Well, before we get, let's get a little MLB in there. Our guy Randy, he's an Orioles fan, so we'll just stay away from that. Just pray for our brother Randy Lee and his Orioles fandom, and just be glad Chris Davis finally got a hit. Your White Sox, they've turned it up just a little bit the last couple of weeks.
A few W's over the last couple weeks. I'm not too disappointed. I mean, I didn't think they would be anywhere near 500 this year, so if they could hover around 500, I wouldn't be too disappointed at all.
Now, usually I hate the baseball talk, but when my team's sitting at the top of the division,
of course, right.
It's a lot more fun. Those
it is.
Those Tampa Bay Rays, they are sitting at the top of the AL East right now by 2 games over the MASH squad, the New York Yankees. The Minnesota Twins are leading the AL Central right now. The Indians are 18-14. Of course, we mentioned your White Sox just a little below 500, but hey. You're not that far off pace from the Cleveland Indians.
6 games out right now?
Yeah, yep, 6 games out right now,
so
first place.
Too bad.
And AL West would be the Houston Astros. That's not really a surprise for anybody. Out in the NL, the Phillies and the Braves are atop the East. The Phillies have a game and a half. The Cubbies have made a surge the last couple of weeks. They were playing terrible at the start of the season. Now it looks like it's a 3-team race in that division. Once again, the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals, who I think a lot of people thought they could be up there in that division, but it's still a surprise to see them at 20-14. But Goldie, man, Paul Goldschmidt, that's a big time free agent get for those guys.
He's always a good one to have in the lineup.
And the LA Dodgers out in the NL West, really not a surprise. They're in the lead, 22-14. The Colorado Rockies have been kind of disappointment for me, 16-19, below 500. The Reds 15-20, but hey, I mean it's on the way up, right?
Sure,
I think.
Yeah. I mean they're just like the White Sox. Sure. They're hanging around. They're hanging around 500. We'll put it at that.
You can hear it in your voice when you say "sure, yeah." Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
It's just funny to hear all the Reds fans complain because all the Reds fans this year were saying this is the year, man. Yasiel Puig, the free agent signings.
I don't know if they were saying this is the year.
I mean, a year to compete, contend at least. I would think, more than 15-20 at this point. I would think some of the Reds fans were thinking.
I am in this take and I don't like it. I was one of those people that was on this Reds team, and now I'm totally abandoning that ship. Good thing is you don't have to abandon the WKU baseball ship after their Rice Weekend Series sweep. You got to work the board. I had to go work softball on Sunday. They have been dealing with tons of injuries.
They have.
What was it, a week and a half ago? They literally had like 10 position players to work with on the total roster.
Yeah, I want to say, I don't remember who it was, but I think it was one of their first basemen.
Dylan Nelson.
An orbital fracture. I mean, that's a killer right there.
That might not have been Nelson, but there was.
Yeah, it was one of the first basemen, I think. Because I know Randy would always talk about how they're going through first baseman. They've had like 3 different. They've had a revolving door at first
Dylan
base.
Nelson was one of those first basemen at one time, and really the big thing for all these injuries has been, they had the roster, they had the lineup, the pitching staff. It's come and gone. There's been days where it's been just absolutely ace-filled, where you're like, man, where's this been all year? And then all of a sudden it goes to 7 runs in an inning or 8 runs in an inning. All of a sudden you're down 8-0, and I don't want to. The game's not over, but I mean it's basically over.
Right.
Now with all these injuries, the lineup's gotten a little softer, but guys have stepped up that haven't gotten to play a lot this year. Colin Hopkins has played well recently, stepping into catcher. Matt Phibbs, I believe, had to move to first base. He was the everyday catcher coming into the season. Now the backup Hopkins is the starting catcher because Phibbs is at first. But Jake Sanford, dude,
he's the man.
It's unreal. It is unreal. This guy is leading Conference USA in basically every statistic, and that's not a joke. I mean, total bases, RBIs, average, slugging. It doesn't matter. Go look it up. He's leading.
Yeah, I mean, it always helps to have a guy like that can do it all in the lineup. I mean, all these injuries, he's definitely led the team at this point. He's the leader, I'd say, and a good coaching job, too. With all these injuries, you got to have good coaching to put a run together like this.
And WKU softball, I know you don't get to watch it as much being here in the studio. I don't get to watch it as much being here in the studio for baseball, but getting to watch him this past Sunday, man, they are something. They are going to be dangerous in this conference tournament. I'm surprised they're the 3 seed. I mean, I don't know a ton about Conference USA softball, but this is a WKU squad that beat Kentucky earlier this year in the top 25, was receiving votes for the top 25 headed into conference play. And, I'm just kind of assuming here that the Southern Belt, usually those Texas and Florida teams are pretty dang good in baseball and softball.
Right.
I know North Texas is the 1 seed. I can't remember who the 2 seed is right now, but watch out for the softball squad this coming week.
Most certainly. I mean, 37-12, that's kicking behind right there. That's definitely a good record to go into the CUSA tournament with. I'd put some money on them.
We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll have some NFL draft talk. If you've got a horse name, or if you've got the best pick in the NFL draft, we'll take that too. 270-782-1945. ESPN Radio, it's the Sportsline.
State Farm, this is Kristen.
Hey, Kristen. I was thinking about switching to State Farm. I can never get a hold of my current insurance agent.
Oh, that won't be a problem with us. You can call State Farm 24/7, get quotes online, or start a claim with our smartphone app.
Wow, so you'd be there no matter what. That's like better than my mother.
Excuse you?
Mom, seriously? Get off the phone.
Oh, no. I want to meet this person who's always there for you.
Maybe I should go.
No, Kristen, please stay. Mom, please get off the phone.
Where was this person when you needed your diapers changed?
Oh.
Yeah, when you needed to be tucked into bed until you were 15 years old. With your blankie.
Okay, Kristen, I'll call you back.
With the option to call, go online, or use the Pocket Agent app on your smartphone, State Farm is so accessible, it might even make Mom jealous. Get to a better state.
Hello, this is your local State Farm agent, David Graves, providing insurance and financial services. For more information, visit davidgravesins.com. Just don't tell Mom.
If your business needs to cool, chill, or freeze, or warm, heat, or cook, you know you can't afford to disappoint. That's why you call BG Refrigeration, because BG Refrigeration never disappoints. They satisfy any heating or cooling need your business may have. Factories, restaurants, malls, plants, big industrial warehouses, doesn't matter. BG Refrigeration is who you call. Commercial heating and ducts, AC maintenance and replacement, commercial refrigeration, restaurant equipment, cold storage warehouses. BG Refrigeration ensures your heating and cooling needs are met so your business doesn't suffer. Walk-in freezers, exhaust systems, pizza ovens, ice makers, whatever heats or cools. If it's restaurant related, BG Refrigeration is by far the best company in South Central Kentucky to service them. In fact, there are a few companies that can or will even try to do what BG Refrigeration does every day. They're the company that's called in for the big jobs that require more experience, that need to be done right the first time. Why would you trust your business's commercial heating and cooling needs to anyone else? Turn to the experts. Call BG Refrigeration at 270-782-5391, where your comfort is their concern.
Hands up, boys. They got the drop on us.
Well, dadgum. We were almost to Sherwood's Guns, too. Looks like this is it for the wagon train.
Well, hello there, Pilgrim.
It's really him. It's...
No need to get all worked up. Where y'all off to?
Sherwood's Guns. They got the best selection of firearms to buy and sell in Southern Kentucky at the best prices right off Scottsville Road and Bryant Way.
And we wanted some practice at the indoor range.
I was headed to Sherwood's too, partners. They always shoot straight and aim to please. SherwoodsGuns.com.
Join the Bowling Green Hot Rods every Friday for Fireworks Friday, sponsored by Norton Children's Hospital. Following every Friday night game, the Hot Rods will light up the sky with a fireworks display. Visit bghotrods.com for more information. Hot Rods Baseball. Fantastic. Your Midwest League champion, Bowling Green Hot Rods, are back for 2019. Come check out the all-new 360 concourse, splash zone, scoreboard, and much more. Get your tickets at bghotrods.com or by calling 901-2121. Hot Rods Baseball, fantastic.
A Wendy's Frosty is something special, and for a limited time, a Frosty is just 50 cents. An American classic for a classic price. It's not quite a milkshake, not quite an ice cream cone. It's definitely chocolate or vanilla. That choice is on you. Use a spoon or a French fry. Anything goes. A Frosty makes summer special. Yep, there's nothing quite like a Frosty. And at Wendy's, we got you with a Frosty for 50 cents. Get yours before this deal melts away.
Small Frosty only at participating Wendy's for a limited time. Price and participation may vary in Alaska and Hawaii.
When Poston Electronics opened in Bowling Green back in 1974, it sounded more like this.
Turn it up, man!
Now Poston is as legendary as the artists Southern Kentuckians pumped through the speakers they've bought there for the last 45 years. Poston is everything audio with top brands like JP Audio and Alpine. From home theaters, boats, motorcycles, side-by-sides, custom work, installation, service, or sales, Poston still has the sound. Turn it up, man. Poston Electronics, across from Firestone on Broadway Avenue.
Don't forget your headboards, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green.
All right. Hey! Twins, full, queen and king. Mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Betty. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
The future has arrived at Luxury Imports of Bowling Green. The 2020s are here, and there's room for everyone and everything in a 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLE 350 SUV with leases starting at $699 a month for 36 months with $47.93 due at signing. Or be one of the very first to drive the first ever history-making BMW X7 with standard 3-row seating. Pre-orders are available now. Luxury Imports of Bowling Green, 325 Three Springs Road, online at luxuryimportsofbowlinggreen.com.
Sportsline 1027 FM, ESPN Radio 1027.com. No, you didn't switch it to the Beat Jams or nothing. Hopefully, I'm allowed to shout out other radio stations. Don't listen to the Beat Jams, listen to us. But this is not the Beat Jams. I'm just playing some, what is that? Jank setup.
Okay.
I got a jank setup here in studio, man.
I'll go with that.
We're working it out. I don't like that. I shouldn't have said that one. I'll save it for myself. Delete it off the podcast.
Nah, you're good, man. You're good.
NBA playoffs in just 9 minutes. We'll join the Bucks and the Boston Celtics, the Warriors and the Houston Rockets later tonight. During the break, me and Casey were talking. He asked me if I was a big NBA fan, and I have become a big NBA fan. I wasn't at first, and for you kind of said it was almost the opposite. Maybe not directly opposite, but
yeah. I mean, here the thing is I used to be a diehard Chicago Bulls fan, and really my last years of kind of following it were Derrick Rose's MVP season, and I really used to follow it hardcore up until there. I used to watch almost every game that was on TV. I loved Derrick Rose. I had his shoes, and I think it's kind of coincidental that at the same time I kind of fell off being an NBA fan, he kind of went down the injury road, and that's kind of what turned me off of it too. Not only that, but just kind of the whole one and dones. Being in the league a lot now. I know that kind of sounds hypocritical coming from a UK fan, but the one and dones I'm not a fan of. I think it waters down the league a lot. The super teams I think kind of waters down the league, and overall it's just kind of frustrating to see the same teams every year. You know, like the Warriors, and then in recent years it's been LeBron. But I mean, this year it's kind of interesting how there's different teams involved. So I'm hoping maybe somebody else could win it this year. But I mean, if I had to put money on it, I'd still say the Warriors, which.
I think there are a lot of listeners, especially in our listening audience, that would agree with you, though, about just the culture change within the NBA in the last 15 to 20 years. Now we're seeing just a totally new group of players enter the fold. You know, all those 2000s guys that you're D-Wade, Dirk. They're gone. Vince Carter's still hanging around by a thread.
Yeah, literally a thread.
He's actually kind of decent for the Atlanta Hawks. Of course, the Hawks are like the worst team in the NBA aside from the Knicks. So for me personally, I kind of love like all the personality you get out of today's NBA stars. And I feel like some people are the opposite. They don't really want that out of certain guys. And, you know, LeBron's very vocal now. He's got his own media company. Him and KD both do. It's just it's a different time in sports now. And these guys have a lot of the power, especially when you compare it to like the NFL and how much power the owners have over the players. Then you get to the NBA where, like they got Donald Sterling kicked off for something he said in private on a secretly recorded thing that wasn't an FBI probe. I'm not saying he deserved to keep his team, but in most situations, legally, that's going to be hard to get around. Not in the NBA. I mean, they just got it done immediately. That's how much power these guys have.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely right on that. Nail on the head. It's a players' first league now. Somebody told me recently that I was talking to about the NBA. They said, I was telling them how guys don't want to stay on teams anymore. They just want to go be with the best and win a ring. And somebody told me that the NBA is now more based around ring chasing than anything. Players want to be ring chasers. They want to be on teams where they can get rings. They want to win championships. To whereas I think like MLB and NFL, it's more about the teams. You know, everybody has their teams, and it's more a team-based league. But the NBA now is really a players-first league. It doesn't matter what team you're on as long as you're winning a ring. You know what I'm saying? So,
there's really not a ton of loyalty, especially.
Right, exactly.
I mean, aside from if you have an all-star on your roster, then that guy's probably going to be there for the next 8 to 10 years.
Exactly.
But even then, I mean, you see so many all-star free agents now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this summer is going to be ridiculous with
every
Kyrie
year,
and KD and Kawhi. It's that's another thing too. I don't know why, but NBA offseason to me, it's just like, you know, I know there are people that sit at home and they watch those soap dramas or whatever.
I was about to say, it's a soap opera, man.
Soap opera drama. You know, I know there are people that love those. That's me, dude. During the summer with NBA, hook it to my veins, man.
Right. No, I hear you. There's a lot of people like it. A lot of people love the drama. They love to know where their favorite player's going. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people, you know, like you, Garrett, they just attach themselves to a player now. They don't necessarily have a favorite team. They just follow whichever player.
I've really kind of done that too. I don't necessarily have a favorite team. I used to love the Thunder when they first moved to OKC because I loved Westbrook and Durant together.
Oh, yeah.
And
Harden,
then,
man.
And then that happened. And I didn't hate KD for going to Golden State. I mean, I don't know.
Who wouldn't have done it, man?
If I was in that situation, I'd probably want to go to Golden State, win a couple of rings. But I might have also left quicker after I got my one ring. I would have been like, hey, I got it. Now I got to go earn it.
Sure.
The Stugats, it doesn't count.
Right. But yeah, man, I mean, just all the players moving teams and everything, that's kind of turned me away from it. And here's kind of a little thing that I don't think I've talked to many people about. I want to get your take on it. What do you think about the ads on the jerseys now, man?
You know, well, here's my thing. I'm a big soccer guy.
Okay,
I love.
So you're used to
I
it
could
anyways.
care less.
Right,
yeah.
you couldn't care
You
less.
could put it on the front of the jersey in big font.
Right,
I wouldn't care.
Of course. See, I'm more of a traditionalist. You know, like I said, MLB, NFL guy, where there's no ads in sight. So I mean, that just really kind of hurt me, man. When they're
growing up as a soccer fan, I literally used to think.
So yeah, you're used to it. Right.
I used to think that ads were like their logo.
Of
I didn't
course,
think it was actually an ad because on Barcelona's jerseys, they have Qatar Airways, which I always forget how to pronounce the country. It's Qatar. I think it's Qatar, Qatar, however you want to say it. They're supposed to host the Olympics. I always thought that was just like their like slogan or something.
Right.
Qatar Airways.
Yeah, because I've never been a soccer guy, so I used to think the same thing, man. I really didn't know what was up until I realized. I was like, man, those are ads.
The ads don't bother me as much tonight. I wish I could remember who has who as an ad on which jersey. The only one I can remember right now is Disney for the Orlando Magic, because that makes sense.
That does make sense, and I think
the Warriors are like Rakuten.
Goodyear is on the Cavs jerseys. I want to say the boot with the wings. I
yeah,
think.
that's a pretty good guess right there.
And then
that was right.
The GE I think is on the Celtics. I want to
say that
circle.
is right.
Yeah,
man, are you just staring at these ads? It must really get to you.
It really does get to me, man. Like I said, I'm a traditionalist. I love those uniforms. I love everybody having the team name and the colors, and it's like a big blob on the uniform. And it's just,
he knew exactly which
crazy,
ad
man.
was which jersey. That's impressive.
Crazy, yeah.
Bucks Celtics tonight. Bucks lead it 2-1. The Celtics took game one. Paul Pierce said the series was over, and the Bucks have won 2 straight. So who's taking this series, Casey?
I'm gonna go with the Bucks, man, just because of Giannis. I want to see Giannis advance, man. I'd love to see Giannis in the finals.
I'm a fan of hot, stupid takes, but Paul Pierce. Man.
Hey, Paul Pierce is an intelligent guy. He want to ring himself.
You got to relax with the game one in the bag. Now the series is over takes. That is just way out there.
Right.
I really like the Bucks too, man. Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you're not an NBA fan and like you said, you want that loyalty, you want guys that aren't going to join a super team, watch the Milwaukee Bucks tonight with Giannis, dude. He is an emerging superstar, and he's going to be in Milwaukee for a long time. The Golden State Warriors are 2-1 up on the Houston Rockets. That's an 8:30 tip-off. The main thing in this series has been officiating. And that guy, Kevin Durant, he's really good.
He is very good.
Who you like in this one? Rockets, Warriors. The series, not tonight's game.
In the series, I'm going to take Golden State, just by default, of course, thinking, Golden State's just going to do their thing. But I think it's interesting how Houston got a game the other night, and I think they're going to make it an interesting series. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go to 6 games. So I think it's going to be a little bit more of an interesting series than it's been, but I think Golden State will pull it out.
Houston matches up really well if James Harden, if he can channel anything close to the kind of regular season he's had, they're going to win. But the problem is he just doesn't do that very much in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and
now he puts up great numbers, don't get me wrong, but the
Yeah.
percentages.
Right, and as much star power as the Warriors have, you got to have a kind of game like that every night in and night out to beat the Warriors. And unfortunately, he can't carry that load every night. So,
Casey, man, thanks for joining us. We got just a couple of seconds before we get out of here.
Been a pleasure.
You got a best horse name now?
Shoot, I don't know. I think stay in your lane takes the cake, man. That was a flame right there. He went right at us with that one.
I'm gonna give you Tador Pandoff.
Oh, okay.
You have no idea who that is.
Wait, Tador I don't think so.
No, you're not supposed to. But Tador Pandoff.
What? Okay.
The best racing horse name.
Okay, all right.